Hey, what's up, guys? This is an episode of Q&A where I take your questions from the comment sections or from Twitter or from wherever and answer them here on video format for you guys on YouTube. So let's jump right into it today. The first question is from Ryan Milan, who says to me, as a Giants fan, where can I apply for a bandwagon transfer form to the Browns? Ryan, you're in the right place to submit your form to the comment section down below, and the Browns fans who watch this show will either submit or will either approve or deny your form. So best of lucks to you. The next question is from 147TSK, who asked me, with the addition of Odell Beckham, will it be Higgins or Calloway who ends up with a reduced role? Well, I think that's a question of how much the Browns throw the ball. Between Calloway and Higgins, I think Higgins' targets aren't going to be that much different this year than it was from last year, because he only had about 50 targets last year and he was extremely productive, had almost 600 yards on 50 targets, which is pretty good. So I don't expect Higgins' targets to drop. Maybe they might go up a little bit. But Calloway, he's on a kind of do or die situation here because he's got to prove he can catch the ball reliably. His last year had a lot of drops, had a lot of missed opportunities. If that still is an issue during training camp in the preseason, I could see his targets drop dramatically in favor of giving Rashard Higgins more touches or handing the ball off to Nick Chubb a little bit more. But for right now, I think the Browns can have at least 4 or 5 passing options that can coexist and get a decent amount of targets. The next question is from the Catster, who says to me, do you think Steve Wilks will be able to produce a solid defense? This is a big question mark because I think the loss of Greg Williams was kind of significant. Because if we know anything about Greg Williams, sure, he blitzes a lot. He can drive you crazy. He coaches his players to make risky decisions rather than safe ones. But he is effective. He always has a solid defense. Now, the argument on whether the Browns had a solid defense last year is kind of up there in the air, but I think Steve Wilks will be able to produce a decent defense at least. I mean, he was able to have a good defense in Carolina, but he doesn't have that big of a track record as a defensive coordinator, so I can't say I'm fully comfortable with saying that he's going to automatically be able to produce a good defense, but I see no reason why he couldn't. He has enough talent. He has enough players. If the Browns can't have a good defense with this talent and there's not a lot of injuries, then it's going to be Steve Wilks' fault. The next question is from Daniel Tolar, who says, is there any merit to Odell being a culture problem? Sometimes I wish he would just shut his mouth. Don't get me wrong. I love his talent. Just looks like a diva who says a lot of bleep that creates damage control. I don't think there's any merit to Odell being a culture problem. If you look in New York, they were able to make the playoffs with Odell Beckham. None of his former teammates, who have no reason to lie, say he was a culture problem. I don't think Odell has a culture problem. I don't think he should shut his mouth. I mean, if he wants to be boisterous, if he wants to be proud of this team, if he wants to say really good things for this team, then let him say it. I mean, he wouldn't be the first athlete to be boisterous and talk loud. I mean, he has earned that right through his 5 years in the NFL. He is one of the best young players in the NFL. He has to be himself. So I have no problem with how Odell Beckham goes about his business. Just like if this were the 90s, I would have no problem with how Deion Sanders went about his business. And the next question is from the Vault Dweller, who says, do you think it's ironic that Josh Rosen said he didn't want to go to an unstable franchise like the Browns due to their quarterback problems, but is now involved in 2 quarterback team troubles? Yeah, it's pretty ironic that he went out of his way to kind of say that. Now, in fairness of Josh Rosen, he didn't directly say he didn't want to go to the Browns. He never said that, but it was out there that he didn't want to go to a dysfunctional franchise. I think he was trying to angle his way to New York as a Giant at the time. But the reality is he got drafted by Arizona, who at the time seemed like they might be a stable franchise, but has proven to put that in question. And then he got traded to Miami, so good luck with that, Josh. But I do wish the best for Josh Rosen. I still think he has a lot of promise. I don't know if he's going to reach that promise in the situation that he's in Miami, where they might just draft another young quarterback to replace him next year. But hopefully he can find his way out of no man's land and make something of his career, because right now he is starting to approach that danger zone. The next question is from Sam Stocks that says, how worried are you about Denzel Wards' injury-plagued rookie season? A lot of people blame his size. And if he does get injured, how will the secondary hold up with the pieces that they have? You have to be worried about Denzel Wards' injuries because they're concussions. Any other injury, and I wouldn't be as worried about it, but you can only have so many concussions in an NFL career. I mean, look at former Brown Jordan Cameron, who concussions took him out of the NFL before he was 30. So concussions are a serious issue. Now, is his size to blame on that? I don't think his size is to blame for that. I think Greg Williams had it right. He kind of has a reckless tackle motion that makes his head very vulnerable. If you look at how he got injured, I think it was bigger tight end type players fell on top of him and caused him to get a concussion. So I think he's worked on that in the offseason, I would hope, and has gotten a different approach. And I think it's partly a responsibility of the Browns to keep him away from tight ends and bigger players so he doesn't end up having the same issues happen. But yeah, that's one of those things that are really scary because of the nature of the injury itself. Concussions are almost impossible to really truly avoid. And it's not like a broken arm or something where it just heals normally. You can only have so many concussions in a playing career. So I hope that he stays concussion free for the rest of his career. But that's always going to be a concern with Denzel Ward going forward. The next question comes from Mercedes Jones, who says, how worried are you about the offensive line? Everybody keeps freaking out since Zeitler is gone. I'm worried about the offensive line, not panicking about the offensive line, but I think that that's something that we should really watch closely during the training camp and preseason periods of this team, because I think the offensive line is the biggest question mark on the entire team. Look at all the things that you're relying on in order for this offensive line to be as good as it was last year. You're relying on Austin Corbett to take a step up and play at a starting level. You're relying on Chris Hubbard to be a starting right tackle again, where he showed flashes that he wasn't a starting right tackle, but then showed flashes that he was. You're relying on Greg Robinson continuing the outlier year that he had with the Browns in the last 8 weeks. You're relying on Joe Bitonio and J.C. Tretter to stay healthy, which they don't necessarily have a history of staying healthy. So yeah, if you're the Browns, there is a lot to be concerned about with the offensive line. And I think it definitely should be a bigger talking point than it is, because there's not a lot of certainty on that offensive line, and we won't know how they're going to perform till the season begins. So yeah, I think it's right to be worried about the offensive line. The next question comes from Limitless Potential, who says, realistically, where do you think the Browns will be at the end of the season? And what do you think about the media saying the Browns aren't going to be good? I think the Browns will and should be in the playoffs at the end of the season. I think that's where expectations are. And to the other point where, what do I feel about people saying that the Browns won't be good? Well, those are nice hot takes in May, but let's see if those hot takes are still worth a damn come September, is all I have to say about that. Next question comes from SSJ Swift, who says, what kind of production do you anticipate out of Chubb this year? I would hope Nick Chubb gets 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. I think if Nick Chubb is near that level of production, that means a lot of good things are happening for the Browns. That means that they're up late in games and they're running the ball a lot in order to maintain those leads, and that Nick Chubb is punching the ball in the end zone. So I would say over 1,000 yards, over 10 touchdowns, and that'd be really good, especially since the last 8 weeks you're going to get Kareem Hunt back, who's going to split some of those carries and split some of those touchdowns potentially. The next question is from Bow2 Beast, who says, how do you see John Dorsey handling cap space for the foreseeable future? This is a concern of Dorsey's. It was part of what drove him out of Kansas City, allegedly. It was that John Dorsey didn't do the best at handling cap space. Now, he has guys specifically here to handle the cap space, like Elliott Wolf. Part of the reason why John DePodesta still has a job with the Browns is to help the Browns not get into cap-strapped situations. I think that this team and organization, despite not getting any credit for being well run, is actually currently being well run, and they're supporting some of the things that John Dorsey has proven that he's not great at with support in the back end of the office by giving him guys like John DePodesta and allowing him to have guys like Elliott Wolf who are cap specialists, who are going to be able to help maintain the cap so that the cap situation can be better than it was in Kansas City. So I'm not worried about it currently, but we'll see if the Browns have a really good year. That means guys like Elliott Wolf and Alonzo Highsmith are going to be poached for open GM jobs. And let's see how long they keep John DePodesta around in the front office. I think for right now, Jimmy and D. Haslam has done an excellent job in supporting John Dorsey, especially in areas where he's not strong at. And that is going to be all the questions for this week, guys. Thank you for asking the questions. Thank you for supporting. And in the comment section down below, let me know if you're worried about the future cap situation of the Cleveland Browns because of John Dorsey's bad history with the cap. So let me know about that in the comment section down below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please ding that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a video, which is usually 3 times a week. And if you have a buck or two to spare, please consider becoming a patron and having your name added to the ticker at the bottom of the screen. But again, guys, thank you for watching the video. Have a great day and have a good night.